Hello everybody. This video is about LabFour, our last lab for the year, and I'm glad to put it out there. I think it's a pretty cool lab. I think you'll enjoy it. So in this lab, what we want to do is we want to take what we worked on before, and that's our load balance multi-web server architecture, and we want to make that more operational. In this case, what operational means is that I want to make it so that you can change the content that you're serving on that website without taking the website down, and to do that by coordinating with your web balancer and load balancer and the list of the pool of available servers that you have available at the time that are serving content for you. So this one is all about developing a process and then deploying it and seeing that it works. From an ops perspective, this one's really fun. I think it's really, it's where you want to be, and it's really cool. From a security perspective, it's a little bit different because what you're doing is you're looking at the overall process. Before, we looked at how do you secure a website or how do you secure load balanced architecture. In this case, you're looking at the process and thinking about, is this process repeatable? Is it reliable? Can it be made any simpler? Simpler in this case meaning, can we make it so that it's less prone to failure by having individuals, people, mess it up? Well, the simplest way to do that would be if there was some way that you can make it a single button push. You bring up a computer, you push a button, and it goes out and it grabs the content and deploys it onto the servers in some way or another. That would be the simplest, but that's kind of tricky to do, particularly when we're using Arliss, which has its own set of little weirdnesses about it, and this is not going to be the simplest thing in the world. So that's where we're headed. So let's see. So my thought is that you'll start with something like this here. So this web architecture that you see, this is basically what you had coming out of Lab 3. Now the one thing that I've added here is I've changed the names of the servers, and this is probably wrong, but we'll live with it. And then I put the load balancing pool out here. So in this load balancing pool, we've got Web 1 v1.0, then we've got Web 2 v1.0, and Web 3 v1.0. The v1.0, that's the content that's being served off of it. Okay? Now, the next step in this might be to deploy an additional set of servers, 3 more servers, same as you had before, and on these servers have the new content that you want to serve off of, that you want to serve already loaded onto them. So here we have Web 1 v1.1, Web 2 v1.1, and Web 3 v1.1. Well, we're still, if you look at our load balancing pool, we're still using what we'll call our old version of our software here. We're still serving that out. What we've done is just put these in place and make them available to join the pool. And then what we want to do is we want to go in, the way that we will change the content that we're serving is largely a process that we do with the load balancer, where we remove the old load balancing pool that was Web 1 v1.0 and we replace it with Web 1 v1.1. So by just replacing the pool at the load balancer, what we've done is we've gone from serving this content to serving this content. Now, for the lab, I say, that's great. Do it once is great. But what you should be able to do is to cycle through this stuff. And so what you might do what I would probably do if I were you is I would leave all 6 of these servers running at all times. All right, and then when servers are not part of the load balancing pool, and that this case would be these guys at this moment, I would refresh these. I would, use a yum update or something on them, and then I would replace the files that you're serving on those servers, and make them available to swap out again. So what your process really turns out to be is that you leave all 6 servers going, and when servers are not part of the available pool of servers for taking incoming requests for content, what you're doing is you're updating them and fixing them up, restoring them, and getting ready to install a new version of your application onto those servers. Okay, and then then just keep doing that time after time. And that would be a really easy way to keep this process going all the time. One problem though. Okay, so in the past, what we did was we set up a monitoring system. All right, well, if we leave that monitoring system going all the time and we start pulling machines in and out of the pool and everything, that's going to send off some nasty grams from your monitoring system. So I think you're going to have to, the process is going to be a little bit more complex than before. So here's what I think the process might look something like. And of course, this is up to you, but something like this. So step 1, start your new servers. If they're already running, bring them up to snuff, refresh them, rebuild them, whatever you want to do. Copy the new files from a location where your developers could post them onto the server. So you've got a file share someplace where the developers are posting what they want you to serve out of these production servers. So you need to find a way to make that file share available to copy files out to your production servers. Make any, all right, so copy the new files. So copy your new content onto your servers. Make any configuration changes that are required. Refresh your configuration. Run a yum update if that's what you need to do. Make sure that you haven't been hacked. Pull the old servers out of the monitoring system so you don't get any false positives when you take them down. Add the new servers to the monitoring system. So you've got a pool of production servers, not only at the load balancer, but also a pool of machines that you're monitoring on your monitoring system. And you want to make sure that you control those machines at the monitoring system so that they're not sending you all kinds of weirdness just because you took them down. If you alert on 0 active connections, well, you don't want to send those alerts all the time out because those servers shouldn't have any active connections. So find a way to deal with your monitoring system, whatever that may be. It could be a finer point. If you really want to get into this, this is a point that would be pretty interesting. So there you go. Remove the old servers from the load balancer list of available servers. Add the new servers to the list of available servers, and delete or reimage the old servers so that you can put them back into production when needed. So there's more to this than meets the eye, and this process could be kind of interesting. There's tons of ways to do this, and I want you to use your imagination and use your creativity to figure out the best way to do this. Here's a chance for you to really exercise your chops and figure out how to do this pretty complex thing in a way that really makes sense. So think about it, figure it out, make it more interesting. So the deliverables for this lab are really this process. It's figuring out how to do this. Now, just ways to make it easier. I don't care what changes happen to Explore California. So if you just want to, come up with 4 versions of Explore California and have one on the index.html that says, version 1, then another one that says version 2, whatever. I don't care about that. And that would be the only update that would happen. Great. Let's see, what else? Yes, so you can do all that stuff. Security team, what we're asking the ops team to do is pretty dangerous stuff. But, like I say in here, probably the only more dangerous thing would be to not have a process like this in place and just randomly update your application without having thought through how to do this. Unfortunately, that's the way a lot of companies do it. But the smart companies, they spend a lot of time getting this process down just right and making it very reliable and spending a lot of time on this and resources too. So, think about this. What you're doing as a SEC team is reviewing this process and thinking about how can the ops team make this better? How can they do it, this inherently dangerous thing? How can they do it in a better way? Okay? And let's see. And then, write the scripts to test it. Does it work? Does the process work the way that you expect it to? Scenarios that you might run through are things like, how do you go back a version? If somebody deployed a version of Explore California that just blew up, how would you go back, roll ahead to an old version of Explore California? What happens to those older versions of Explore California after they have been taken out of production? You may want to keep some in a pretty quickly available place so that if the new version that you deploy blows up right away, you can roll ahead to an old version. Okay? So, that's a really important security thing because it's all about availability. It would be really easy to take down your application by having a process, release engineering process, that didn't handle the scenarios that it needs to handle. So I hope you find this to be an interesting lab. I think it's pretty cool, and I think you might be able to have a lot of fun with it. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.